On Saturday night, I'll be listening to Usyk versus Joshua, exclusively live on TalkSport, while I'm enjoying my Saturday night Chinese. Special fried rice, bosh. Special chow mein, bosh. Sweet and sour chicken balls, bosh. Sweet and sour chicken Hong Kong style, bosh. Salt and chili king prawn, bosh. Salt and chili chicken, bosh. Barbecue spare ribs, bosh. Roast pork Chinese style, bosh. Crispy aromatic duck, bosh. Chips, bosh. Prawn crackers, bosh. Curry sauce, bosh.
I don't need to save money. I want to put on good fights. So that was a good fight for DAZN. So I'm disappointed. But what is the point in signing up for drug testing if when you fail, everyone just goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just let him fight." You know? Yeah. So and the argument of, well, it's all right with UKAD is totally irrelevant. You've signed drug testing with VADA, the best testing agency, in my opinion, in the sport.
On the night. Secondly, I could have done this fight in many different places around the world. You can't do it. You know, you've seen the feedback, you've seen the response. He has to clear his name, or he has to have his case heard. So what we are not going to do, and what we won't accept anyway, is just to go and get another license and put this fight on in December. No. Let's have the process, go through the legal process of Conor Ben, and then we see what the result is.
What we got here? The throwback Lumberjack workout. AJ chopping the wooden block. What? Oh, God. He's just created the modern boxing equivalent of Excalibur. Forget sword in the stone. We've got the axe in the log. AJ.
Sounded a bit like countryside, that one. Okay. Nice laid back Essex vibe. Well done. Okay. Bit lazy, that one. Terrible. Big John here. I'm at the TalkSport offices in central London, and I'm going to rate people's boshes. We'll see if they're any good or not. Bosh! Bosh!
Bosh.
Nice laid back Essex vibe. Well done. Yeah. Bosh! Bosh! Okay. Got people on my phone that I haven't spoken to for 10 years. If I rang them up and said, look, there's 5 blokes outside my front door, can you come and help me? They'd be here. You know, so I've got plenty of people that would help me. Right, if I was on the phone to the local Chinese, it'd be egg fried rice, special fried rice, large. Plain chow mein, shredded chicken chow mein, large. Salt and chili king prawn, salt and chili chicken, kung po prawn. Sweet and sour chicken balls, sweet and sour pork balls. Shredded chili beef, beef in black bean sauce, mini pancake rolls, large pancake roll, curry sauce, 2 portions of prawn crackers. Bosh.
Bumper Clarty, indeed. Well. It seems like a few people have been talking out of their ring piece, and which wouldn't surprise anybody. Boy, I tell you what, we're gonna have some fun in this episode today. Coogan Cassius. I hope you're listening to this one, Coogs, because I've got a few words. I've got a few choice words, yeah, for Coogan Cassius, yeah. In about 10 minutes' time, my mate Coogs. I'm still waiting for you, yeah, Coogs. If you're listening, bro, I'm still waiting for you to smash up Ty and Boo. But we'll talk about that in a second, Coogs. Because Coogs be giving out the gangster talk to everybody other than Ty and Boo. I can't work it out with my man, Coogs. And I like Coogs, but Coogs be giving that gangster talk to everybody other, yeah, than Ty and Boo, who's the one who attacks his family and attacks his kids, he attacks everything about Coogan, but Coogan got nothing to say in it. But when it's anybody other than Ty and Booth, Coogs, yeah, starts going all Daniel Kinahan, yeah, on people. Anyway, I've got something to say about Coogs in a sec, yeah. Can we just do a quick sound check before we get going? Press a 1 if you can hear me loudly and clearly. And I will get, yeah, the British boxing theme tune going nicely and clearly in the background. Let's see if it sounds nice. Let's try this one. There we go. Press number 3 if you can hear me loudly and clearly over the British boxing theme tune. while we discuss the latest goings on, yeah, in this absolute fucking farce of the highest caliber. I mean, it's enough to make anybody's fucking Jap side weep, this absolute bollocks, yeah? Conor Ben, yeah, and his quote-unquote cleared by UKAD. Cleared by UKAD. Do you know what, yeah? I did the live show, yeah, for Conor Ben being quote-unquote cleared by UKAD. By the way, yeah, you can still hear me nicely and clearly over the music. Let me know. I don't want the music to override the dulcet tones of my beautiful voice. And you can hear the energy coming through me right now. That's because my missus has made me a lovely Dunn's River seasoned fried chicken with gravy, mash, and some other things on the side there. So I've had my British soul food, so I am absolutely ready to go. So let's talk about this quote-unquote clearing from Conor Ben, because it seems like, yeah, this and this nightmare is over video from Eddie Hearn isn't as true or isn't as correct as people would have you believe. It seems once again, and it will come as a surprise to absolutely nobody, the British public are being deceived. It's the same old people. The same old people are using clever wording. These are their tactics. Clever working and subterfuge, yeah, to deflect you and distract you away from the actual goings on in British boxing. Again, let me quickly say this. If you'd like to hit the like button, please feel free to hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe and be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe. Again, I should be out of business. I shouldn't be having to do these videos. Real journalists who get paid money, or real boxing channels like an IFL TV, oh shit, should be, yeah, asking these questions. It shouldn't come down to tiny 2-bit channels to do the job that an IFL TV and these other big channels should be doing. But then again, yeah, I'm not licking anyone's ring piece begging for access, because I have a full-time job. My job isn't riding around in a Ford Fiesta all day with a fucking GoPro shoving cameras up people's asses down the local gym. All right, I've got better things to do. If you ever see me in a boxing gym, you'll see me with a gear bag. Yeah, you'll see me with a gear bag with boots, gloves, a head guard, and a gum shield. You ain't gonna see me around any boxing gym with a GoPro. I've never been seen. I've been to a few gyms in the UK. Never have I been seen with a fucking GoPro bothering people while they're trying to train and just trying to arse lick for access. Anyway, let's crack on with this so-called clip. So when UKAD allegedly cleared Conor Ben today, I thought, why haven't UKAD released a statement? Press 7 if you agree with me on that. Did you not find that funny that Conor Ben released a statement? Eddie Hearn and Matchroom released a video saying the nightmare is over. But you know the one people who we didn't hear from? You ever find it funny how we never heard from the British Boxing Board of Control? You ever find it funny how we never heard from UKAD? I was sitting there thinking, what? Let me get this clown music off because it's fucking distracting. I think you get the fucking picture now. I was sitting there thinking, why aren't we hearing from UKAD? Why aren't we hearing from the British Boxing Board of Control? As you can see here, when Amir Khan tested positive and was banned for 2 years, we got a lovely statement from from UKAD, as you can see here, explaining the reasons why Amir Khan was given a ban and explaining the reasoning behind it. Yeah, so we got a full statement from UKAD. All right, and I want you to note this now. I want you to play a game called Spot the Difference. Spot the difference between this statement from Conor Ben. Listen to the difference between this. This is Conor Ben's statement. The UKAD process has now formally ended and I remain free to fight. Let's have a look at this other stuff. Hold on. Here we go. As you can imagine, the last 10 months have weighed heavily on me, and I am anxious that if this happened to me, it could happen to any honest, dedicated, and clean athlete like me. All right. I have now been vindicated for a second time. Hopefully, the public and various members of the media can now understand why I have maintained my innocence so strongly all the way through. So, press 9 if you agree with me on this. The statement and the wording of that statement from Conor Ben basically says right, is basically there to lead you into thinking that UKAD have said he is not guilty of a doping violation. Press 9 if you'd agree with that, and press 10 if you disagree. The wording of the statement, the language that Conor Ben is using in his statement, it gives someone the impression that UKAD have looked at all the evidence presented by Conor Ben, yeah? They've looked at all the food contamination evidence. They've looked at all the samples. They've looked at all the evidence from the scientists. And they've concluded that there's no way that Conor Ben is guilty of a doping violation. That's what this statement leads people to believe, right? And that's what this crap believes people to believe in here. The nightmare is over. Eddie Hearn reacts to Conor Ben claims. Now, I want you to bear in mind, Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben have repeatedly criticised UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Control for leaking information about this case behind people's backs. Am I right about that, or am I wrong about that? Or is that because I'm on the frat war on payroll? Am I on the frat war on payroll for saying that, or am I telling the truth? Have Conor Ben and Eddie Hearn not repeatedly criticised UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Control for releasing information about the status of the case before a final verdict has been given? Yes or no? Well, the answer is yes. Eddie Hearn's frequently been on an IFL team and said, who's releasing all this information about this case? How do people know this information about this case? That the subject of this case should be confidential. There's a confidentiality clause. Well, the interesting thing is, according to UKAD in this statement that I'm going to read in a minute, this case ain't finished yet. And yet, despite the case being finished, despite the case not being finished, we've had a statement from Conor Ben leaking information about the case, and we've even had a video from Matchroom. So what does that tell you about who's leaking information about this case? Do you not find that funny? That the people that criticise UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Control for not adhering to a confidentiality clause are absolutely, you've got the promoter rushing on YouTube to release a video. And we'll talk about the wording in a minute. The wording is incredibly clever wording by Eddie Hearn. Well, we'll tell you what Conor Ben's been cleared of in a minute, because I'm not sure Conor Ben's been cleared of a doping violation yet. But we'll talk about it in a second. I'll give you my theory, and then you let me know. But you don't find that funny how the promoter jumps on Matchroom Boxing YouTube channel? The promoter's got time to release a video on YouTube before the anti-doping governing body of the United Kingdom make a statement. Press 1. Do you agree with me on that? If you think I've got a point, press 1. If you don't think I've got a point, press 2. Just want to hear, and then we'll move on to the bit you will want to hear, the meat and potatoes of this statement, because this is fucking hilarious. But you don't think that's funny? I always find that a bit funny, how the promoter of the boxer managed to release a fucking statement before the fucking anti-doping governing body of the United Kingdom. That was your first red flag here, yeah? That there's a whole heap of shit going on involved with this case, all right? Okay. Let's carry on. Let's read this statement. This statement will make you fucking laugh, right? When have you ever heard a statement like this? A UKAD spokesman said, this is the statement, in April 2023, UK anti-doping took the exceptional step of publicly disclosing details of Mr. Conor Ben's suspension and charge, following reports from the media and comments made by Mr. Ben himself. So what UKAD is saying is, the only reason we're breaking confidentiality is because Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben keep breaking confidentiality. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You've got Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben who have repeatedly broken confidentiality on this case and run to the media to discredit UKAD, run to the media to discredit the British Boxing Board of Control. And as a result, UKAD have then had to come out and release a statement defending themselves, and in doing so have had to discuss, details of the case. So what UKAD is saying here is, the only reason why we're breaking confidentiality is because Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben keep releasing shit to the media. Again, just use your brain. Why is the promoter of a boxer releasing a 10-minute video, on an anti-doping case before the United Kingdom Anti-Doping Agency? What does that tell you? I'll continue with the statement. And please feel free to hit the like button, because this ain't shit you're going to hear with any other fucking, we know. I don't have to tell you. Right, let me carry on, okay? UKAD took the exceptional step of publicly disclosing details of Mr. Conor Ben's provisional suspension and charge following reports from the media and comments made by Mr. Conor Ben himself. UKAD's statement also confirmed that the case would follow the results management process in accordance with the UK anti-doping rules. Now, here's the thing. UKAD notes that Mr. Ben has made further public comments today regarding proceedings before the independent national anti-doping body. UKAD can confirm, now here's the key part, UKAD can confirm that Mr. Ben is no longer provisionally suspended under the United Kingdom anti-doping rules, right? Which is fine, yeah? He is technically clear to fight. I'm not disputing that, but we'll get into the wording in a second because there's a difference between being cleared of a doping violation and being cleared to fight. And I'll tell you why. Just stick with me on this because I'm going to show you something, all right? So he's been cleared to fight here. Look, he's no longer provisionally suspended. Now, listen, this is a very, very strange paragraph to put when you've supposedly cleared a fighter of a doping violation. What do you guys think about this? I find it very, very interesting that UKAD would say this about a fighter who's been cleared for a doping violation. But here's what they've said. They've said this. The UK anti-doping rules detail limited circumstances in which UKAD is able to make public disclosures about ongoing cases. They also set out a clear process within which cases can be heard and decisions can be handed down by the independent national anti-doping panel. So remember this bit here. They also set out a clear process with which cases can be heard and decisions can be handed down by the independent national anti-doping panel. Where case decisions are handed down by a panel, the rules provide all relevant parties with the right of appeal. Under the rules, UKAD has 21 days from the receipt of a decision to file any appeal. UKAD carefully reviews all decisions in its cases before deciding whether to exercise its right of appeal. UKAD is not able to make any further public disclosures in accordance with the UK anti-doping rules at this time. Now, do you not smell a rat here? And I'll tell you what the rat is in a minute, or what I believe it to be. Okay? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I could be wrong. And let me make it clear, because you've got a few people here who are total nutters, right? I do not want Conor Ben to be banned for life. And I've said this a million times now. Conor Ben should not be banned for life. As far as I'm concerned, if Tyson Fury can box, if Jarrell Miller can box, if people who have been banned in the past can come back to the sport, then Conor Ben should be allowed to come back to the sport as well. So I want to make that clear. It's not about Conor Ben should be banned for life. It's simply, this show here today is simply about examining the facts in a case, right? And I think people are being misled. Here's why. Have you ever heard a statement before by UKAD? Yeah, I haven't, but let me know. I could be wrong. Have you ever heard a statement before by UKAD where they clear a fighter of all wrongdoing, but then they simultaneously talk about a decision being handed down by the National Anti-Doping Panel and remind people that they have the right to appeal such decision within 21 days? Also, by the way, the word cleared is never used in this statement anywhere. Is there anything that you can hear, see, or read in this statement, yeah, that would tell you that Conor Ben is cleared of an anti-doping violation? Now, here's what I think. Here's the question that journalists need to ask. This is Exhibit A, all right? This is an article by the man who broke the story, all right, about Conor Ben failing a dope test. This is Riyadh Al-Samari from the Daily Mail. Now, Riyadh Al-Samari wrote an article 2 weeks ago, all right? And he's been in on this from the day one. Now, listen, Conor Ben will learn the outcome of a key hearing over jurisdiction in this anti-doping case by the end of this week, right? Ben is edging closer towards a conclusion in his anti-doping investigation. His legal team addressed the panel chaired by the National Anti-Doping Panel. The video call was looking to settle where jurisdiction lies in the ongoing saga. So just stay with me. Can you see here? So Riyadh Al-Samari has told you that in the last week or two, the National Anti-Doping Panel, right, were involved in a hearing with Conor Ben and I believe UKAD. Let's see what this was about. Here we go. The focus of Ben's defense at this stage is believed to center on whether he exists outside of UK anti-doping's remit, having relinquished his British Boxing Board of Control license at the height of the fallout last October. Look, Mail Sport understands the fighters' legal team, led by Mike Morgan, appeared before the National Anti-Doping Panel on a video call on Monday to settle where jurisdiction lies. Oh, right. Hold on a minute. Let's go back to this UKAD statement. What does UKAD statement say about a decision made by the National Anti-Doping Panel? What did they say here? The UKAD statement says there's been a decision made by the National Anti-Doping Panel, and UKAD reserved the right to appeal that decision within 21 days. What was the decision by the National Anti-Doping Panel? Here's my question. Let me make it a bit clearer, because I know we've got a couple of Matchroom FC in here and they're not the smartest. What was the result of this case here? Were UKAD, as a judged, were UKAD judged to have been allowed to actually ban Conor Ben? Is what exactly I'm saying. We know there was a hearing, right? We know there was a hearing between the National Anti-Doping Agency, National Anti-Doping Panel, UKAD, and Conor Ben, because Conor Ben doesn't believe that UKAD have the right to ban him. Well, hold on a minute. What was the result of that hearing? Because if the result of that hearing was that UKAD don't have the right and don't have jurisdiction over Conor Ben, then, as per statement, they'd have to relinquish his provisional suspension. Press 1 if you're with me, and press 2 if you're not with me. Press 1 if you're with me, and press 2 if you're with me. See, it hasn't been made clear here what he's being cleared of and what's happened here. What I'm saying here is it simply the case that the National Anti-Doping Panel has ruled that UKAD just don't have the jurisdiction to suspend him, or don't have the jurisdiction to ban him, and as a result, his provisional suspension has been lifted, and UKAD have the right to appeal within 21 days. Is that what this is? That's the question that needs to be asked. Does that make sense? That's the question that needs to be asked here. What was the ruling? We know there was a hearing between Ben, UKAD, and the National Anti-Doping Panel over who had the rights to, over whether UKAD had the rights to ban Conor Ben. Did they have the rights to, did they have the jurisdiction over Conor Ben? Media now need to ask, what was the result of that case? Was the result of the case that UKAD do not have jurisdiction over Conor Ben? And is that the reason why UKAD have released a statement saying, that decisions can be handed down by the independent National Anti-Doping Panel, and they've got 21 days in which they might appeal the decision? Can you see? Can you see what I'm saying? Because it's so strange. Let's compare this to Amir Khan. When Amir Khan failed a drugs test and UKAD released a statement, just look at the information that was given. Mr. Khan's statement was heard by independent tribunal. Blah blah blah. There's a part where look at this. Let's compare the language, right? Mr. Khan's, this is from UKAD on Amir Khan. Mr. Khan's case was heard by the independent tribunal on the 24th of January, and in his decision, the panel found that that both violations concluded that they were not intentional. So you can see here, Amir Khan's being cleared of not intentionally taking any performance-enhancing drugs, right? And you can see they've gone into quite a bit of detail here to say these are the dates of the case, and Amir Khan, it was found in his system, but according to the panel ruled, right, that he did not intentionally take performance-enhancing drugs. Now compare that to the language in this statement from UKAD, which is very, very grey statement, as Dent says. Very, very grey statement. Nowhere in here does it say that the National Anti-Doping Panel have said that, Conor Ben was contaminated by eggs, that Varden mishandled the test, or anything like that, or anything. They've simply basically said that there's still an ongoing case, that they won't be commenting on this time, and that some decisions have been made. So here's the key. Again, let me say it one more time, all right? And this is the question. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. I just want the question to be asked. I'm just asking questions that nobody else is asking, okay? That's all I'm saying. 2 weeks ago, there was a hearing. You can see it here in black and white, okay? Mail Sport understands the fighter's legal team, led by Mike Morgan, appeared before the National Anti-Doping Panel on a video call on Monday. This is Monday 2 weeks ago, to settle where the jurisdiction lies. What was the decision by the National Anti-Doping Panel over where the jurisdiction lies? Did they rule in favor of Conor Ben, that UKAD don't have any jurisdiction, in which case you think they have to lift his provisional for suspension, or did they rule in favor of UKAD? That's a massive, massive cog in this story. Press 1 if you agree with me on that. Press 2 if you disagree. Do you not think that's like a massive cog in this story? Because there's a big difference between UKAD saying, Conor Ben, you're cleared of all anti-doping violations. VADA screwed up their tests. Or Conor Ben, you're cleared of all anti-doping violations because we believe your eggs are contaminated. And the National Anti-Doping Panel ruling in favor of Conor Ben that UKAD don't have any jurisdiction over him. That's like a massive difference. Like that is a technicality at its finest. Again, we can see, look at this, look. If Morgan's arguments, this is Conor Ben's lawyer, if Conor Ben's lawyer's arguments prove successful with the independent National Anti-Doping Panel brought in to hear this aspect of this case, it could free Ben to push ahead with plans to fight Chris Eubank Jr. later on this year. What was the result of that hearing, IFL TV? What was the result of that hearing? What was the result of that hearing? That's the question that needs to be asked. What's happened here? Did the National Anti-Doping Panel say UKAD have the right to govern and have the right to ban Conor Ben, but they've chosen not to because of the evidence provided by Conor Ben? Or did UKAD lose their hearing with Conor Ben's lawyers? And did the National Anti-Doping Panel agree with Conor Ben's lawyers that UKAD don't have the rights and don't have any jurisdiction over this result? And as a result, they have had to lift his provisional suspension. Do you guys think I'm onto something? I think I am, you know. I think it's a bit of coincidence that 2 weeks ago, we get to hear about this hearing where Conor Ben's main argument is that UKAD don't have any right to basically ban him, all right, because he's given up his British Boxing Board of Control license. And then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, his provisional suspension gets lifted, and UKAD are talking about possible appeals to a National Anti-Doping case panel decision. Can you see there? So he hasn't been cleared of any doping violation. Not as far as I can see. I can't see it. If he has, Conor, I apologize. I don't think you should be banned for life, but I don't see any evidence, right, in this statement from UKAD that's been delivered today or from anywhere else that he's been cleared of any anti-doping violation. He's cleared to fight because his provisional suspension has been lifted. But the question that the media should be asking is, why? Why has his provisional suspension been lifted? Has it been lifted because UKAD have looked at all the scientific evidence? Is it been lifted because UKAD have looked at his 200-page document, which alleges that maybe VADA have mishandled his tests? Has he had his provisional suspension? Notice they say provisional suspension, by the way. Notice that has his provisional suspension been lifted because UKAD accept that Conor Ben ate too many eggs and that's why he failed 2 drugs tests, because he's eating too many eggs? Or has his provisional suspension been lifted because UKAD lost the case about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago in front of the National Anti-Doping Panel with Conor Ben's lawyers, and at the minute, they don't have the right to have any jurisdiction over his case? Questions that won't be being asked in the media. Now, where can I get to something? Oh, excuse me, I'm on the wrong thing. Give me a second. Right, guys, get your comments in. We'll have a quick thing. Get your comments in. Give me your thoughts on what's going on, and I'll let you know. And someone went into the chat and said ultras on fucking coping. I don't care. Listen, Conor Ben. I've said this a million times. Conor Ben isn't doing anything that any of the others aren't doing. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Conor Ben isn't doing anything that any of the other top fighters aren't doing, right? I'm not suggesting that. Like, Conor Ben isn't doing anything that any of the other top fighters aren't doing. This isn't to bash Conor Ben, right? Conor Ben isn't the only fighter on earth to fail a drugs test, and nor will he be the last. This point, yeah, what I'm discussing about here, is a chat about misinformation, because I think, yeah, that there's been misinformation put out, yeah. And I'm not talking about people like me who, occasionally we make honest mistakes. I'm talking about intentional misinformation, stuff like this, right? Conor Ben is cleared. Very, very. Eddie Hearn reacts to Conor Ben clearance. Yeah, his provisional suspension's been lifted, but I believe it may have been lifted on a technicality, not because UKAD have heard all of the evidence presented by his lawyers and have decided that there's no way he's committed a doping violation. Can you see the difference between the two there? What do you guys think? Because there's a big difference between being cleared on a technicality because the UK anti-doping panel don't have the right to investigate you, and the UK anti-doping panel hearing all of your evidence and saying you didn't commit a doping violation. Can you see the difference there? And again, Eddie Hearn reacts to Conor Ben clearance. It's just more clever wording. It's just more clever wording and more smoke screens designed to throw you off the scent. And that's what this is about. And that's what's been done from the get-go. It's just more clever wordings. Well, he's been cleared. Okay, what's he been cleared of? What's the evidence? What evidence was heard that led to UKAD clearing him? Nobody can provide. Have you not noticed yet that nobody could provide this evidence? So I asked the question today, well, Conor Ben's been cleared by UKAD. Well, okay, where's the statement from UKAD to say this is the reasoning for why we cleared him? Have you not noticed how this still hasn't been provided? What, UKAD have cleared Conor Ben, but they provided no reasoning for the reason of why they cleared him. They did it for Amir Khan. You can see it here. When they made a decision on Amir Khan, they provided the exact reasoning, including statutes and articles for why the decision was made on Amir Khan. Why haven't they? If UKAD have heard all this evidence and they've said that Conor Ben has been cleared of a doping violation, why haven't they produced the evidence, right, in the public eye so we can see that, like they did for the Amir Khan case? Well, they haven't done it for a reason. I think they haven't done it because I think the case is still ongoing. Simple as that. The case is still ongoing, mate. Ultra, do you believe that UKAD will appeal? They're probably not. I don't know. I listen. I think Conor Ben's back in boxing. I'm not trying to say, yeah, that. I'm not trying to say that. Oh, Conor Ben's going to end up getting banned. I think at the moment it looks highly unlikely to me that he's going to get a ban, but it's the reasoning why. That's all I'm challenging. Does that make sense? That's why I'm challenging. The information being released by Eddie Hearn, and I've seen comments by the likes of Coogan Cassius today, which we'll get onto in a minute. Comments that are being released by people in the media are very, very dishonest, because what they're doing is they're turning around and saying shit like, well, I told you he didn't dope. Or I told you he didn't commit a doping violation. I told you about the chicken eggs. I believe that all along. Does that make sense? But that's not what UKAD are saying. Right? That's not what UKAD are saying in this statement. And that's not what I can see UKAD saying in general. Right? UKAD don't appear to be saying to me, oh yeah, it was food contamination or this and that. In fact, it seems to be the complete opposite. As far as I'm aware right now, I believe that this could be a technicality, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm just trying to get up. Here we go. I'm just trying to get up here the latest from Cougs, and we're going to do a little bit of an attack on Cougs if I can find out the thing. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. So this is why we're doing this, right? So we talk about misinformation, all right? We talk about misinformation, right? So today, all right, and I want you guys to understand that no matter how much you don't like me, no matter how much you attack me, please hit the like button, by the way. No matter how much you don't like me, no matter how much you want to send me death threats and stuff, just for asking questions, right? Here's my question to you: how is a media like this fit for purpose? Conor Ben today allegedly cleared. Well, you can see the statement from UKAD. I don't believe he's been cleared of a doping violation at all, as you can see from the statement. But Coogan Cassius, right now, a normal person, yeah, do you not think a normal person with a frontal cortex, not Coogan Cassius, obviously, but don't you think a normal person who had a vested interest on illuminating the public? IFL TV used to be one of the biggest boxing channels in the world. Recently, they've had a massive fall from grace, which we'll talk about in a second, right? But IFL TV used to be, right, one of the biggest boxing channels in the world. Wherever you think about me on the Frank Warren payroll, biased, do you not think, press 7 if you agree with me, do you not think IFL TV have a responsibility as people who take money, to do this for a living and have access to some of the biggest and biggest boxers and biggest promoters in the world. Do you not think IFL TV have a duty to the public to ask the questions and to try and shine and illuminate people on the issue? Because anti-doping in boxing is a very serious issue. I think we can all agree with that. Excuse me. Doping in boxing is a serious issue because somebody can die in the ring. We recently had Ludo Ludmati, who had a fight with Nick Ball on a Frank Warren card. And Ludo Ludmati, who's now safe and back in South Africa, nearly lost his life. He was in a fucking coma, after getting a brain bleed against Nick Ball. So the topic of doping in boxing is a very, very serious topic. Now, here's my question to you. No matter what you think about me, Frank Warren payroll, Ultra's a scumbag, Ultra, come and fight me, Ultra, come and give me a spar, Ultra, you're not really a black guy, all this stuff, right? No matter what you think about me, can I ask you guys a genuine question? Do you not think people like Coogan Cassius, with the access that they have, to the biggest and best in the world, do you not think they have a right to ask the questions that matter? And do you not think their job is to try and illuminate the public? Do you not think their job is to try and make this situation clear to the public? Aren't they supposed to clear through and cut through all of the gobbledygook, right? They're supposed to cut through all of the shit, aren't they? And make it clear to the public, because they're supposed to love boxing, right? Aren't they? Isn't that right? They're supposed to be fans of boxing and they're supposed to love the sport. So aren't they supposed, isn't that the whole point of providing access to an Eddie Hearn or to a Conor Ben or to an Anthony Joshua? Isn't the whole point is to give us an insight into things that we otherwise wouldn't know? Press 7 if you agree with me on that. Press 8 if you disagree. Now, Coogan Cassius, if Coogan did his job properly, right? The first thing that guy like Coogan Cassius would do is ask the same questions that I'm asking. He would have waited for the statement from UKAD, right? Before making any comments, he would have said, well, this is funny. Hold on a minute here. I know Conor Ben's my mate, yeah? I know Conor Ben's my mate. But do you not think I should hold my horses here? Because I do find it interesting that the promoter of Conor Ben has released a fucking 10-minute statement on the internet before the United Kingdom anti-doping body. Don't I think that I should wait for the statement before UKAD, before running around and telling everybody, I told you so about Conor Ben, right? Don't you think? Like, he didn't even wait for the statement from UKAD. He couldn't wait, could he? And straight away, look what he starts doing. He starts pinging, right? My mate, Martin Theobald, at New Age Boxing UK. You can see there, follow Martin. He's been covering the sport for probably about the best part of 15, 20 years, I think. He covers the sport at all levels. Not like Coogan Cassius, right? Only turning up to the top level events, trying to lick people's ring pieces for access, right? We're talking about this guy here. Let me show you a guy who loves the sport of boxing, right? Because you hear a lot of people who say, you ever heard this one? I love boxing. Well, let's talk about loving boxing. Have you been in a ring and put gloves on? No. Okay, so you don't love boxing then. Have you covered the sport at the lowest? This guy goes to small hall shows, and covers them from the ground up, right? And has been doing so for almost decades, right? But Coogan Cassius feels like it's right to go and attack people like this, right? Who are shedding light on the situation of anti-doping in UK boxing and laugh at them. Ha ha ha! Oh dear Martin. Instead of asking the questions. To me, I'm just going to be honest. That tells you everything that you need to know about the state of YouTube, so-called YouTube boxing coverage in the United Kingdom and so-called YouTube boxing coverage as a whole. It's not fit for purpose, is it? And I just want people to understand that while you hand out people like me death threats and wish death on me and I need to get beaten up, you have to understand something. And the reason why I brought this up is to make you understand and drill it for your fucking skull, yeah? That the reason that we're having these conversations is because people like this guy won't have these conversations. Do you understand that? As long as you understand that, we can keep talking. But do you understand what I'm saying? Ultratech, why do you keep talking about this? Because people like this guy won't talk about it. All right? People like this guy won't turn around here and say, look, what have UKAD said in this statement? Oh, what about this case that Conor Ben had with the national anti-doping panel? Well, could that have something to do with what's going on here? Has he actually been cleared of a doping violation by UKAD? You know, why was his provisional suspension being lifted, etc., etc.? None of these questions get asked, and none of these questions will get asked. And that's why, yeah, people like Eddie Hearn and Matchroom give these guys 24/7 access. Yeah, that's why they get access, because they know that they've got no intention of asking these guys. It's just straight up. You'd be better off watching Chinese state TV, to be honest with you. I mean, people talk about Chinese state media. You'd be better off watching fucking the fucking Chinese Communist Party TV. You probably get a more balanced view, yeah. And you went from IFL at this point. So I just want you guys to understand that you know, you get bums like Coogan, who, by the way, listen, people can criticize me all I want. Look, all I'll say is this: I don't talk gangster talk to anybody. Let me just tell you that right now. I don't ever speak the gangster talk to anybody. Coogan, I'm still waiting for you to fight Ty and Booth, because you've been coming out of all this hot talk about you're going to cave Prince Patel's head in. So Coogan, when are you going to cave in Ty and Booth's head? That should be that's the only video I ever want to see or hear from Coogan Cassius ever again. And the next time I hear from Coogan Cassius, it has to be a video called I am going to cave in Ty and Booth's head, right? That's what it has to be, Coogs, isn't it? Because it ain't like you, Coogs, to pick on fucking flyweights, right? You would never do anything like that, would you, Coogs? You'd never pick on a flyweight boxer who weighs about 90 pounds and is about 5'3", yeah? You'd never pick on a flyweight boxer, but then back down from somebody your own size like Ty and Booth, would you, Coogan? Because you're a big bouncer, innit, Coogs? You're a big bouncer. You're a big tough guy bouncer who used to bounce for Ricky Hatton, and you're a proper tough guy, innit? Because we've seen in your videos, innit, Coogs? You're getting in the video with Diddy and White and you're having a spar. So, Coogs, you're a big tough guy, Coogs. You're much harder than me. You'd knock me out. You're a big tough guy, Coogs. And we know tough guys like you, Coogs, would never pick, yeah, on smaller targets like Prince Patel. So the next video I need to hear from you, Coogs, yeah, is the video entitled, I'm going to cave in Ty and Booth's skull. Since Ty and Booth is talking about your little kid, yeah, on YouTube, since Ty and Booth is the one making comments about your little kid, when are you going to go and smash up Ty and Booth? Instead of running around laughing at journalists, independent media, and laughing at journalists for doing the job that you should be doing, Coogs. Am I right about that, Coogs, or am I wrong? What do you guys think? Press 8 if you agree with me, press 9 if you disagree. He's laughing at people that are doing the job that he should be doing, right? Coogs, listen, if you're going to do... we know you're a poor excuse, yeah, for a YouTube creator. We know IFL TV's in the gutter right now. We know because of the Daniel Kinahan thing, you've pretty much got fuck all access anymore. We know IFL TV, yeah, is pretty much dead in the water. I don't need to tell you IFL TV. Everybody knows IFL TV's finished, man. Let's just tell the truth about how it is. Let me tell you, I've got nothing personal against Coogan Cassius, by the way. I've never said anything about Coogan's family. I've never made a personal comment about him. I've never made a personal comment about Coogs. The only comments I've ever made about Coogan Cassius, yeah, the only comments I've ever made are in regards, yeah, to his interviews. They've never ever been about him as a person or about his children or anything like that. I would never do that. I would never ever do that. I only talk about boxing, and I don't think he's a very, very good interviewer. And that's just my opinion, and I'm fine with that. But I have the right to criticize him, and I've criticized him, and there you go. But I will say, I do find it odd that Coogs wants to act Daniel Kinahan to everybody other than Ty and Booth. Do you not think that? When it's somebody who's a flyweight, who's 118 pounds, all of a sudden, Coogs is talking like his best mate, Daniel Kinahan, who's a real gangster, by the way. Not like Coogan. Look. When all of a sudden it's somebody half his size, all of a sudden now, his attitude changes, doesn't he? Look, his attitude changes. Here's Coogs. Look, here you go. Here's Coogs acting all tough. Look. There's Prince Patel, about a quarter of his size. Look, but he want to get in Patel's face. Oh, I see. And then look, there's Big Billy, yeah, from MTK holding him back. There you go, yeah. Hold Coogs back. Coogs is dangerous. Look, there's Coogs getting it. So Coogs is ready to go. Because Coogs is a tough man, isn't he? Used to be a doorman for Ricky Hatton, didn't he, Big Coogs? Used to be a doorman. So Coogs is a tough guy. Coogs is a gangster. Coogan knows gangsters like fucking Daniel Kinahan. So we know Coogan's from the streets. So where's that street treatment for Ty and Booth then, Coogan? Where is it at then? Where's this street treatment for Ty and Booth? Because it's been best part of 2 years this man been clarting you out. And nobody's heard a fucking word come out your mouth, Coogs. So I don't think, to be honest with you, you're in a position to laugh about anybody. To be honest, Coogan. That's my honest opinion of you, Coogs. Like, I'm not saying anything personal about you or your family. I'm just saying I don't think you are in a position to take shots or laugh about anybody. All right? Simple and plain as that. These guys are just, it's just unreal, isn't it? It's unreal, isn't it? How somebody can do that. Talk about bullying, innit? There's nothing worse than people like that who pick on the small people, but then when the big people their own size want to rumble, these people go missing, innit? But they go missing. They go missing. Nah. Save me that shit, man. I don't want to see that shit, man. I don't want to see that shit. Anyway, so that's my rant on Coogan and IFL TV. And like I said before, look, people can say what they want about me. IFL TV's finished, man. Let you guys know. Tell the truth. Even the biggest fan would have to say, look, what do you guys think about IFL TV? Yes or no? Tell the truth. Is IFL TV done and dusted? IFL TV is dead in the water, man. Cougs might as well wrap that business up and call it a day. I don't know if its access got taken away because of links to Kinahan, but it seems like there's a problem with traveling, innit, at the minute. All right? It seems like there's a problem with traveling. I mean, if you just look at their catalog, look at this shit. Look at this. Embarrassment of a fucking channel. Look, you guys think I'm mucking around? Let's have a look. Let's tell the story, innit, about IFL TV. Since they're fucking laughing about respectable journalists. By the way, yeah, you see the guys laughing at Martin Theobald, yeah? You know Martin put the gloves on and got in the ring, by the way. Not none of this fucking play sparring with Dillian White. Martin's put gloves on and been in the fucking ring, you know. As Coogan put gloves on and been in the ring because he talks like he has. Well, let's have a look at IFL TV. Look at this stuff. Look at this shit. 969 views in 49 minutes. 214 views in 2 hours. Bro, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look. When you're fucking, look at this. Marnie Swindles and Astrid Wet. I mean, give me a break. Look at this crap, man. Look. Marnie Swindles and Astrid Wet. 515 viewers in 6 hours. Do you know how embarrassing this shit is? Coogan, it's over, bro. Call it a day. Nothing lasts forever, Cougs, man. With all due respect, Cougs, nothing lasts forever, man. Call it a day, man. All right? You've got good bouncing skills. Used to be a bouncer for Ricky Hatton. Everybody knows that if you're a 5'1" flyweight, yeah, you can get it. Everybody knows, Coogan, that you're the can man, and that if you're a 5'1" flyweight, that they can get the business from you because you're such a tough guy. So why don't you update your CV, get it on the Job Centre Plus, and start looking for bouncing jobs? Because this fucking YouTube gig, yeah, is fucking over. Sean Porter. 1.6k views in 12 hours. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence weigh-in. 684 views in 16 hours. I mean, people can criticize me all they want. I'm just telling you how it is. IFL TV's had its time. All good things must come to an end. And it was an absolutely tremendous run while you were at it. Congratulations. But you know, people don't want to hear you sit in a car with Eddie Hearn asking him what his favorite packet of crisps are anymore. Them times are over. Them times are over. And to be honest, there's like 500 other channels out there. Look at this. Look at this stuff. Look. This is the last time IFL got any decent views, yeah? Is 23 hours ago. Look at this. This is what we're getting down to now on IFL TV. Carnage. Astrid Wet gets a fish slapped in her face. That's what we've got to with IFL TV. Think about where IFL TV were in 2005, 2007. Think about where they were in 2005, 2007, right? Think about the exclusive interviews they had with Anthony Joshua. Think about all the exclusive interviews they had. Think about the 100k, 200k videos they got. And now where have we got to? We've gone from exclusives with Anthony Joshua to Astrid Wet gets a fish slapped in her face. And that's your biggest fucking draw in the last fucking what? That's your biggest draw in video in what? The last what? Couple days. Your biggest draw in video is Astrid Wet getting slapped in the face. Oh, sorry. It's Astrid Wet and Alexia Grace. So the biggest draw on IFL TV right now is Astrid Wet. All I got to say is this. It's a wrap, bros. That's all I got to say. It's a wrap, man. Leave the journalism to real journalists. Leave the content creation to real content creators. Not fucking promote or hide mouthpieces. Right, let's carry on back with this Conor Ben stuff. So, guys, give me your comments. How do you feel about what I've said today? How many death threats will I be getting? And I want people to understand, yeah? I've not said anything personal about anybody. Do you guys understand that? All I do, if I criticize somebody, it's always about boxing. I never criticize people for what goes on in their personal life, or, you know, or I'm not talking about anybody's children or anybody's families or anything. It's about keeping it on a level. I don't come out of any gangster talk. I don't come out of any fighting talk. All I'm doing is just giving you my honest opinion on that. So what I'm looking forward from the media in the next couple of weeks is some questions. Do you not think that's fair? That's all I'm asking for. I'm just asking for some questions. That's all I'm asking, isn't it? You've got the access. We're just asking for questions. The questions need to be asked about the reasons why this provisional suspension was suspended, was removed, and if it had anything to do with UKAD being ruled against, in a hearing that took place 2 weeks ago between UKAD and Conor Benn's lawyers. Did UKAD lose that hearing? And if UKAD lost that hearing, is that the reason why Conor Benn's provisional suspension had to be lifted? And if that is the reason why Conor Benn's suspension had to be lifted, if the reason why Conor Benn's suspension had to be lifted was because there was a ruling not in UKAD's favor a couple of weeks ago, that's very, very different to Conor Ben being vindicated, of not committing an anti-doping violation. So why are you reporting this story as if Conor Ben has been cleared of an anti-doping violation when it's quite clear to me that as it stands, there's no evidence to suggest that's the case? And if there is, by the way, when the evidence does come, and I believe it will, when the evidence does come, by all means, Conor Ben, you're cleared. And at least Conor Ben is going through. And listen, let me make this clear. When Conor Ben does finish going through this process, I don't think he's going to get a ban any longer anyway, right? But when Conor Ben does go through the process, we'll drop this case. That's it. I don't think Conor Ben should be banned from the sport of boxing for life. Why should he? If Conor Ben should be banned, then so should Tyson Fury. And so should Jarrell Miller. And so should Lucas Brown. So, no, it's not right for Conor Ben to be banned from the sport for life. And I've said that from the get-go. But the problem is, people, when they listen to me, don't hear the whole story. They hear what they want to hear. Does that make sense? They don't hear the other side that I say. Conor Ben isn't doing anything that anybody else isn't doing. Doping is rife throughout the sport of boxing. No, I do not believe that Tyson Fury failed a PED test because he ingested wild boar. No, I do not believe that. Do I believe that most of the top boxers are on performance-enhancing drugs? Yes, I do. Is Conor Ben doing anything that none of the other top fighters are doing? No, I don't believe he is. I've said this from day one, but people don't want to hear that. They hear the parts that they want to hear, and then they say, ultra-text bias. Makes sense. They don't hear the bits that... they only hear the bits they want to hear. But it is what it is, right? So it's sort of, what about Tyson Fury? What about him? What about him? I've never believed that Tyson Fury is a clean athlete. Ever. I've never believed Tyson Fury is a clean athlete. You're the one telling me that Conor Ben's been vindicated and that, chicken eggs are the reason why, he failed his test. And I'm sorry to repeat myself, but I just want to get this on the record if you don't mind, okay? There's one last bit I'd like to say. I'd like to say this again, okay? If it turns out that Conor Ben has been cleared of a doping violation, right now, I don't see any evidence to suggest that Conor Ben has been cleared of a doping violation by UKAD. And we've already read the statement and explained why, okay? But let me explain now. I want to say one more thing, right? If it comes out that Conor Ben has been, cleared of a doping violation, I would like the question to be asked, right? If it was food contamination, which is believed to be his primary argument is that his food was contaminated with clomiphene, okay? If his food was contaminated with clomiphene, all I want the media to ask is a simple question. What food did you ingest that was contaminated by clomiphene? Where did the food come from? And I think we owe that to all the fighters across the country who right now are eating eggs and absolutely shitting themselves, wondering if they're going to get a positive test right now. You've got athletes up and down the country who are consuming large amount of eggs, not knowing if they're going to test positive for clomiphene. Because allegedly, according to certain people's lawyers, right, we've got eggs, yeah, that people are eating that have clomiphene in them. So I would like to know, again, right, maybe Coogan Cassius can ask the question, okay? Maybe Coogan Cassius can ask the question. What evidence did UKAD clear Conor Ben with over a doping violation? Did they clear him down to food contamination? Okay, they did. So they believe his food was contaminated. Fine. Please tell me, what food did he take that was contaminated? What food was it? And it's a year on now from this, and we still don't know. Nobody knows how he was contaminated. Where did the food come from? Where did his eggs come from? Who's selling these eggs? And I just find that absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable that a year on from this, and we still don't know the basic answers to basic questions. And again, that is by design. It's because people don't want you to know the basic answers to these basic questions. Basic questions, okay? Why did you fail a PED test? Was it food contamination? What food was contaminated? Where did the food come from? Who sold you the food? Who's the manufacturer? The most basic GED. These are questions that you would get asked at NVQ level hairdressing in fucking college. What do you guys think about that? Am I right? Am I wrong? These are questions that anybody with a brain, NVQ level hairdressing. Do you guys remember NVQ level hairdressing, where all the hot birds used to go in college? NVQ level hairdressing level 1 would ask these questions. I tested positive for clomiphene. My food was contaminated. Okay, what food was contaminated? Right? Where did the food come from? Who is the man? This is like basic shit. It's like 12 months now, and we still don't know the answers to these basic questions. And the reason why is because you've got a whole bunch of people in this boxing media, right, who don't want you to know the answer to that question. Do you agree with that, what I'm saying? Press 9 if you're with me. Press 10 if you disagree. See, what you need to understand is that dudes like Michael Benson, Coogan Cassius, and all these guys, right? Let me quickly say this. We'll go on to a slightly different topic, so don't go anywhere, right? Because there's something else I want to get off my chest, right? What you've got to understand is that guys like Coogan Cassius, your Michael Bensons, your other people, right? They're doing this for interactions. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Everything they do is for interactions. They report the news, but they want to be first with the news. They're not interested in being correct with the news. They're not interested in being right with the news. They're interested in being first with the news because it's all about interaction. So what you've got to understand is, right, guys like your Michael Bensons, your IFL TVs, right, you know, the whole Usyk versus Fury thing, blah, blah, blah. It's all there to wind you up and get you angry into providing them with interactions. That's what this is about for them. This is how they make their bread and butter, right? They make their bread and butter winding you up. They're like the puppet masters. They make their money winding you guys up. So they'll be, and if you noticed, right, like I said before, like these guys, they'll drip feed you news. So look, Michael Benson, he will drip feed you the same news over and over again. So instead of releasing just one tidbit of news, Michael Benson, you see here, there's the statement from Conor Ben, right? And then there's the statement from Eddie Hearn, and then there's the video from Eddie Hearn, and then as if the video from Eddie Hearn isn't enough, he's then taking individual snippets from the video from Eddie Hearn and copying and pasting them into tweets. Then he's carrying on. Then he's copying and pasting the statement from Conor Ben, which anybody with a brain can go and see on Conor Ben's Twitter anyway. So he's copying and pasting that in. And then he started. So can you not see what's going on here? As Crazy D3 says, it's rage farming. And people are falling for this every given time. Do you guys not see what's going on with the whole Fury versus Usyk thing, where we're getting 165 updates per second about 70-30, 25-85, 95-35. He said this, he said that. Do you not see what's going on here? He said this, he said that. Alex Krasuk, Frank Warren, 70-30, 80-50, contract being sent, Saudis, deal done, deal imminent, deal being signed, just waiting on the I's and dotting the T. Do you not understand that? Do you understand that? It's all to farm interactions from you guys. It's all to wind you guys up, get you guys angry. Do you make sense? All this shit you're hearing about, Fury, splits, Anthony Joshua Wilder, all this stuff is all there to get you interacting with them, to get you clicking on the tweets, to get you clicking on the channel. It's got nothing to do with the quality of news. It's all there to do with winding you up. That's all it's there to do. And as long as you click, they don't care. As long as you hit like, they don't care. As long as you click on the tweet or retweet it, it doesn't care. They don't care. All they care about is clicks. Clicks equals money, right? And so they do this. They inflame people. I'm surprised how many people fall for this. They inflame the public and they inflame people on a regular basis. And that's what they do. Guys, give me your comments. I haven't read any of your comments out. What do you guys think about what I said? Is it all Frank Warren? Am I on the Frank Warren payroll? Let me go back through some of these comments and I'll start reading them out. Sorry about that. Let's have a look. Well, Chris Andre says, some outlets are investigative and ask hard questions. Others develop relationships so the fighters relax with them. They each offer something different. The audience can take value from both. I'll be honest with you, Chris, it's just my opinion. IFL TV don't offer me any value or any sort of value for what I am interested in. But maybe other people, yeah. I know some people are interested in what packets of crisps Eddie Hearn eats and what are his top 10 favorite crisps of all time. I mean, these are questions that have legitimately been asked, but I'm not making this shit up. Like, Coogan and Cassius legitimately sat in a car with Eddie Hearn, and I think they had a discussion over like Space Raiders versus Whatsits. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember when, I think it was when they was in a car and Coogan was in Eddie Hearn's car in his Bentley and they were traveling down the motorway. And I think they had a legit discussion over like top 10 packets of crisps and chocolate. Legit. Like, and people are fucking up liking the videos. For me, that's not what I'm interested in hearing. And I think, and I have to be honest with you, Chris, I think IFL TV have done nothing but release misinformation. And I think they release misinformation deliberately because, they know what they're doing. We look at this and we know, by looking at this, there's no indication from UKAD that Conor Ben's been cleared of a doping violation. But the news has been framed by IFL TV and such to lead people to thinking that. And we know what they're doing, in my opinion, and they're deliberately misinforming people. But, like I said before, always welcome to have your opinion. Let me go for, I think you had another comment. I just want to make sure you get your say. Here we go. This is Chris on UKAD's statement, to Conor Ben, which is above. I'll get this on the screen for those of you who've missed it. This is the UKAD statement on Conor Ben. The truth is, it's unusual that the board, I think you mean UKAD, didn't elaborate on reasoning. I find it hard to judge Coogan for believing his friend, though. Isn't it natural to trust a friend telling you he's innocent? Listen, like I said before, I've got no problem in Coogan being friends with Conor Ben, but there's no reason why just because you're friends with somebody, you doesn't give you the right to go out there and deliberately put misinformation out into the public in an effort to exonerate your friend. There's nothing wrong with believing your friend, and there's nothing wrong to trust your friend, right? I've got no problem. Coogan could be friends with Conor Ben. He can be friends with whoever he wants, right? But when you start intentionally misleading people, right, and intentionally leading people down lines that haven't been drawn, then I think there's a bit of a problem. Because I believe, right, that when you make money, right, from being, and people say IFL TV aren't journalists, and I accept that, but they're a boxing information channel. I don't care what anybody says, right? They make money, right, from providing information about the sport of boxing. And when you have, right, such a large subscriber base and such a large following as they do, I do think, that you have, And by the way, can I just say, you talk about IFL TV and misinformation. They did one the other week, right? That was absolutely outrageous. I mean, they have literally put out misinformation after misinformation about this story. They put out some misinformation the other week, about Conor Ben, and it just got, I think they had to take the tweet down. I mean, it was just absolutely pat. Here we go. I'll give you right now. Let me give you Chris Andre. Let me give you a case in point example, right now on the screen, if I can find it, of IFL TV, and then I'll put it up on the screen, and then I want everybody in the audience for you to tell me if I'm telling the truth, or if I'm lying, or if IFL TV are being misleading. Let me just try and find it right now. I've got it on my phone, so I'm just going to try and bring it up on the fucking screen. And surprisingly, I'm not able to do so at the second. But if you just give me uno momento, in fact, you know what? We'll go for it here because I think it might be here. Hold on. You can see me do it in real time. Let's have a look. Here we go. Let's see if we can find it. If we search IFL, here we go. Let me get this up on the screen. Right. Let's play a game called Is This Misinformation or Is This Not Information? My point here is, right, just because Coogan Cassius is friends, right, and just because IFL TV have a relationship, right, with the with the fighter, doesn't give them the right to intentionally release misinformation about an investigation into a doping case. That's my opinion. Would you guys, I want a yes or a no. Would you consider this misinformation or not? Look, this is IFL TV on June the 26th. This is a month ago, right? IFL TV a month ago. Conor Ben has now proved his innocence following his failed drugs test last year with his new team now in talks with UKAD. When did that happen? Did that happen on the 26th of June? Conor Ben has now proved his innocence following his failed drugs test last year with his team now in talks with UKAD. This was last month on the 26th of June. On the 26th of June, did Conor Ben ever prove his innocence? He did not. If you look at the comments to this, the comments to this will show you, yeah? You're Yol King. Where exactly did he prove anything? No, the new team believes he can prove his innocence. Two different things, he's not being cleared. When was this? Mr. Breaking News. No, he hasn't. You can see them getting absolutely reamed in the comment section. Look at these comments. Where has he proved his innocence? You absolute clown. You absolute clowns. This is IFL TV on June the 26th telling everybody that Conor Ben had proven his innocence. According to IFL TV, Conor Ben had proven his innocence 1 month ago in a story that was absolutely a complete, utter lies. He'd never proven his innocence. What had happened was he had hired a brand new team, and his brand new team believed they uncovered some evidence that was going to mean he was going to beat the case. But they never, ever proved it. Just look at the comments. What a load of bollocks. The IFL TV garbage train strikes again. You can see the Donald Trump fake news meme there. So you can see it there. Look, so you were saying he's been given the all clear. See, you can see there. That, to me, is 110% clear-cut lying and misinformation. Deliberately attempting to deceive the public, into the ongoing status and nature of a doping case. Now, what do you guys think about that? Am I right to criticize IFL TV for doing that, for deliberately misleading people on a doping case by telling people on the 26th of June that Conor Ben had proven his innocence? He hasn't proven his innocence to anybody. He hasn't proven his innocence to anybody. He hasn't proven his innocence to anybody today, let alone the fucking 26th of June a month ago. So again, this is what I'm saying. Just because someone's your friend doesn't give you the right to release misinformation and or basically lie on their behalf. And I'm sorry, that is misinformation of the highest caliber. IFL TV being caught absolutely red-handed there. I'm just telling you how it is. That's my opinion. And by the way, can I say, people say I'm biased. Can you fucking believe this shit? Look at this shit. Look at this. Look at this. You can see it here in blatant fucking... You can see the lies in black and white. But people will attack me and say I'm biased. Fuck me. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Shauna Medieval says if it was a more serious sport, people would be fuming. Abdul says Coogan on Eddie's payroll. They've admitted it multiple times. I have no idea about that. Vanguards of Manhood says, have you ever thought about interviewing fighters yourself? I think you do a great job. Why would fighters want to interview with me for? For what? I don't see the point. What have they got to gain from it? Why would they do that? I don't think so. The only person I would like to interview is Billy Nelson, who refuses to come onto this show. Billy Nelson wants to attack me on Twitter every other day, but he keeps refusing to come on this damn channel. Billy Nelson. Let me just check my messages here. I'm just checking my DMs on thingy. 1 sec. Let me just check my DMs, see what's going. Oh God, no, Shevin, you're an idiot. Shevin, if you're listening, you're an idiot. You're an idiot, Shevin. Stop sending me that shit, man. I see what you're sending me, Shevin. Stop sending me that shit, brother. Let's go through the rest of your comments. Guys, have your say. This is your time now to have your say. Listen, attack me, innit? I'm biased. I'm a scumbag. I deserve to get beaten up. All for pointing out to you, what's going on in a doping case. I guess it comes down to who do you believe. Do you believe me or do you believe IFL TV? It's up to you. Believe who you want to believe. But I tell you what, I know for a fact who has a better track record of telling the truth about this case. And it ain't them. I'll be honest with you. Tony says the only thing that comes to mind about Coogan Is Dillian White trying to get his butt in a car? Here we go a minute. Sean Medieval says IFL TV rely on fans being stupid. Vanguard's a man has said that's why YouTubers are making coins. The big fights are happening. These greedy fuckers want Saudi money. The best thing to do is to stay off socials. Just watched a couple of select YouTube channels done. Okay, yeah. The best thing to do is to stay off social media and just watch a couple of select YouTube channels. Same with TV news, all clickbait. Haven't watched it for years. I'm just going through this here. Abdul says, how much do you think Conor owes Eddie through this whole saga? Listen, all right. Eddie Hearn has put his reputation on the line for Conor Ben. There's no question about that. He's put the reputation of matchroom boxing on the line for Conor Ben. Now, was it worth it or not? Can I be honest with you? I don't like getting involved in the whole easier draw, easier not a draw thing. I couldn't give a shit. All I care about is fighter A gets to them with fighter B. Who's going to win the fight? But I don't know. Like, matchroom boxing assume Conor Ben is a big draw. Let's put it this way. Where is the evidence that Conor Ben is this massive worldwide megastar draw that Eddie Hearn would put what he's got left of his reputation up on the bonfire for? Does that mean like he's not anti-Joshua? If it was anti-Joshua, you sort of begin to understand, couldn't you? But this is Conor Ben. Like, can somebody tell me that? Can somebody tell me that? I'd like to know. Like, where is the evidence that Conor Ben is this massive draw, this massive superstar in boxing, that Eddie Hearn would drag the reputation of matchroom boxing in the gutter, that his dad, Barry Hearn, spent fucking 20, 30 years building up? Why would you do that? What, for Conor Ben? Really? I ain't sure. But maybe it's paid off. We'll have to wait and see. Let me guys know what you think about it. People assume he's a big star. Is he? Is Conor Ben a big star? We'll see in his next fight. He's having a fight in September, isn't he? Because he's free to fight now, so he'll have a fight in September. So we'll see how big of a star he is then. Harley says, I spoke to Tony Sims last week and knew the verdict was this week. Spoke to him today too, and the news is true. He's cleared by UKAD. Oh, is he, Harley? Is he being cleared of a doping violation? And how did they clear him? Because from what UKAD are saying here, it doesn't look like that's the case to me, as per the statement that I've already read out here. So, like I said before, has he been cleared by UKAD, Harley, or have the National Anti-Doping Panel ruled that UKAD don't have the right to rule over his case? Because there was a hearing. Harley, I could be wrong. When you speak to Tony Sims, ask him what was the result of the hearing that took place 2 weeks ago between Conor Ben's team and UKAD that was overheard by the independent National Anti-Doping Body, where Conor Ben's lawyers sat down and argued that UKAD had no right and had no jurisdiction over his test results. Can you ask Tony Sims what the result of that case was? Was the result of that case that UKAD had the rights to have jurisdiction, and UKAD chose that he didn't have a doping violation or not? Let me know. Harley says clear to fight by you. That's not what we're asking. See, that's nothing to do with what we're asking. He's not been. UKAD have removed his provisional suspension. That is 100% correct. The question I'm asking is, why have they done it? Why have they done it? Have they cleared him of an anti-doping violation, Harley? Or, Harley, ask Tony Sims this. What was the result of this hearing, as you can see in the Daily Mail, by Riyadh Al-Samari? What was the result of this hearing? Conor Ben will learn the outcome of a key hearing into his anti-doping case by the end of this week. Mail Sport understands the fighter's legal team appeared before the National Anti-Doping Panel on a video call on Monday to settle where the jurisdiction lies. The focus of Ben's defense at this stage is believed to center on whether he exists outside of UK anti-doping boxing's remit. Harley, when you speak to Tony Sims, can you ask Tony Sims what was the result of that hearing? Did the National Anti-Doping Panel rule that UKAD do not have the right to sanction Conor Ben because he's outside of their remit, and thus that's why his provisional suspension has been lifted? Ask him, Hardy, because there's a big difference between. Can you see, guys, what I'm saying? Can you guys understand what I'm saying? There's a big difference between he's been cleared to fight, which is true, but it gives the impression that he's been cleared of a doping violation. There's a big difference between he's been cleared to fight, with the implication being that he's been cleared to fight because he's been cleared of a doping violation, and he's been cleared to fight because UKAD have had to stop his provisional suspension because it's been ruled that they don't have any jurisdiction over him. Does that make sense? Harley, let me know, Harley. I'm not attacking you. Let me know, Harley, and let me know. Yeah. Tony says that's funny because I didn't talk to Tony, but I talked to Tony, and he said that this is some bullshit. Let's have a look. The suspension was only in. You're not asking him the question, Harley. The suspension was only in the UK by UKAD. Yeah, you don't understand the question, so there's no point in talking to Harley because Harley doesn't understand the question. I've asked Harley 3 times now, and Harley still doesn't get what we're saying here. We keep asking Harley if the National Anti-Doping Panel ruled that UKAD had no jurisdiction over him, in which case they probably have to relinquish their provisional suspension. But Harley doesn't seem to want to answer or understand the question, so it is what it is. Harley, if you think he's been cleared, that's fine. Go and buy tickets to Conor Ben fights. I couldn't care less, brother. I've asked you the question 3 times. You haven't given me an answer that comes anywhere near close to answering the question. But I tell you what, Harley, if you'd like to call in, I do love you to bits, Harley. If you want to call in and tell us what you've spoken to Tony Sims about, you can feel free to call in by all means. And if he's been cleared, he has been cleared. But that's fine. That's fine. But I don't see any evidence for what you're suggesting here. So Harley's now answering a question with a question, which is always a good sign, isn't it? It's always a good one when you ask somebody for an answer and they answer with a question. They suspended him and they lifted it. This is correct, Harley. I'm asking you and I'm asking everybody else the question. Why did they lift it? Did they lift it because they believe that Conor Ben didn't commit an anti-doping violation? Or did they lift it because, the National Anti-Doping Panel ruled that they don't have any jurisdiction over Conor Ben? We know there was a hearing on this 2 weeks ago. It's right in front of you here in the Daily Mail, reported to you by Riyadh Al-Samari, who was the guy who broke the story on Conor Ben failing a drugs test. We know that Conor Ben's defense was, the focus of Ben's defense at this stage is believed to center on whether he exists outside of UK anti-doping's remit. All I'm asking, Harley, is a very simple question. Was the suspension lifted because Conor Ben's lawyers won this case? That it was judged that he is outside of UK anti-doping's remit, and thus they have had to lift his provisional suspension. Is that the reason why his provisional suspension has been lifted? Or has his provisional suspension been lifted for another reason? That's the only question I'm asking, because there's a big difference between your provisional suspension being lifted, because, the National Anti-Doping Panel have ruled that he is outside of UK anti-doping's remit, and there's a big difference between that and UK anti-doping saying, we've lifted your suspension because we don't believe you're guilty of any doping violation. Makes sense, Harley? That's all I'm asking. I'm not. Frank Warren isn't giving me these answers on an earpiece. I'm not being rude. I'm not trying to be difficult. Honestly, Harley, I'm just asking, and I could be wrong. I'm asking the question. I'm not saying it's facts. I'm literally asking the question as to why Conor Ben's provisional suspension has been lifted. Because the news that is being released deliberately, to the media, again, Harley, I keep saying, the promoter has released a statement before UKAD. Harley, tell me, when you speak to Tony Sims, can you ask him one last question for me as well? Harley, when you speak to Tony Sims, can you please ask him for me, why Conor Ben, and why Eddie Hearn have jumped the gun and gone and told the media the key information about an ongoing anti-doping investigation, when from the get-go they've been complaining that people have been leaking stories to the newspapers about an ongoing anti-doping investigation that should be held confidential. If you speak to Tony Sims, if you can ask him that as well, that'd be great. Because that's interesting as well, isn't it? That Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben seem to be a bit annoyed that people keep leaking information about this, but they seem to be the ones leaking information themselves, because they seem to be leaking statements on the results of cases before the fucking UKAD do. Right, it's the last one I'm going to read from you, Harley, and if you don't answer the question, we're done. It was the board that had control of the ban, going off UKAD's decision and guidance. They had the hearing of Ben's team and lifted to do with recent scientific eggs the way his body is. Oh, okay. So you're saying that the reason why UKAD lifted his provisional suspension is because UKAD heard evidence that Conor Ben was contaminated by eggs. That's what you're saying, yeah? Are you sure about that, Harley? You need to think very careful what you're saying here, Harley. That's what you're saying. They had the hearing with Ben's team and lifted due to recent scientific eggs. The way so you think UKAD heard that evidence, and UKAD have now ruled that Conor Ben didn't commit any anti-doping violation because Conor Ben had clomiphene in his eggs. There's no evidence of that anywhere, Harley, at all. UKAD don't say that in his in their official statement, and there's absolutely nowhere in the statement from UKAD which hints anywhere that they have ruled anything like what you're saying. There's nothing in that statement from UKAD which says that they have listened to any evidence about eggs or the way Conor Ben's body breaks down clomiphene, and they have decided that Conor Ben hasn't committed a doping violation. In fact, if you look at their statement says the exact opposite, Harley. It says nothing to do with what you're saying, which is funny. Harley, you seem to know more about this situation than UKAD themselves, which I do find a bit suspicious, Harley. To be honest, Harley, I do like you, but I do find it a bit suspicious that you seem to know more about the situation than UKAD. Because you're telling me that UKAD have heard new evidence about eggs and the way Conor Ben's body breaks down clomiphene. And UKAD in their statement have said nothing of the sort. They've said nothing of the sort. And again, Harley, the question is, you haven't answered this. We know that Conor Ben's team had a hearing 2 weeks ago in which they said that UKAD had no remit over Conor Ben. And you can't tell me the result of that case. Can you ask Tony Sims, please? Because I've got a funny feeling that UKAD may have lost that case, and that's the reason why suspension got lifted. There you go. But Harley, if you want to call in, you can call in. I love you, Harley. Even though you talk, that's not true, actually, Harley. Some of the stuff you do say is correct. I will check myself, Harley. All right, Harley. I'm being fair. Right. Guys, let's talk about something else. Are you okay with that? Should we move on from the Conor Ben stuff? Unless Harley has anything interesting that he wants to say. But listen, like I said before, Harley, if you turn out to be right, and you have turned out to be right in the past, I'll shut you up, Harley. It's all good. But I'm being honest, Harley, I've read that statement from UKAD. There's no evidence of anything regarding to what you've said in that statement. Nobody said that UKAD have seen evidence about Conor Ben's egg consumption, or UKAD have seen the new evidence presented by Conor Ben's lawyers, which basically alleges that his body holds on to clomiphene for longer periods, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. There's no evidence that UKAD have heard that evidence and have decided to lift his provisional suspension based on that evidence. There's just nothing to suggest that right now, which is probably why, Harley, if you read the UKAD statement, they make a point of saying that the decision that has been handed down by the National Anti-Doping Panel can be appealed within 21 days. Why would UKAD clear Conor Ben on the basis of new evidence into egg consumption and the way he's... yes, they have. UKAD haven't released a statement. Yes, they have. You've got a statement here, Harley. Harley, hold on. Am I in the Matrix here? Sorry. Let me just make sure. Guys, am I living in the Matrix here? UKAD haven't released a statement. Yes, they have. We read the statement out about 2 minutes ago, Harley. I don't know, mate. I don't know. We're starting to get... But don't go anywhere, because I've got something very funny for you on Eddie Hearn. Jesus. What do you mean that, Harley? Just let me know. UKAD haven't released a statement yet. So, what statement's this then, Harley? I don't know what he's... UKAD haven't released a statement yet, but it is what it is. Here's the statement here. Like it's fucking on the screen. Statement released by UK Anti-Doping regarding Conor Ben. A UKAD spokesperson said, I don't know. Let me know. I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. Harley. I do like Harley, you know, but fuck me. Sometimes me and Harley are on the same wavelength. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Sometimes me and Harley are on the same wavelength, but I don't know, bros. Right. Let's move on. Yeah. Now, all 96 of you that are still here, I'll tell you, you're going to love this next segment. Don't go anywhere, right? We're going to move off the Conor Ben stuff, right? I'm going to change the title of the stream, okay? All right? I'm going to change the title of the stream, and this is going to give you a good laugh, right? We're going to move on to something a little bit less serious, okay? All right, let me just change the title of the stream 1 second, because this is going to talk about Eddie Hearn, yeah, and his appearance on the famous cricket channel TMF Test Match Special today. This was absolutely unbelievable. Hold on. Let's have it. Let me just change this title and then we'll get to it. Hold on. Let me just change it here. Right. Give me a sec. You guys will love this. Eddie Hearn disaster interview on BBC. This is, and the reason why we're going to cover this story in a bit of detail is I'm going to ask another question, yeah? Because I was told, right? Listen. Here we go. People are laughing in the chat because they know what's coming. Right, here we go. You guys are going to love this. Let me get this up, right? Eddie Hearn made an appearance today on TMS, right? Now, I've always been told, what have people been telling me? Ultra, Eddie Hearn's a great guy. Isn't that what they've told people, right? Eddie Hearn's a great guy, right? And Ultra just doesn't like Eddie Hearn because Ultra's on the Matchroom payroll, right? Is that right or wrong? Isn't that what my the people who hate me say, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Isn't that what they say is, don't listen to Ultra. Ultra doesn't make any good points about Eddie Hearn, right? Don't listen to Ultra because he's just on Frank Warren's payroll. That's what they all say, innit? Like, don't listen to Ultra because he's just on Frank Warren's payroll. Eddie Hearn's absolutely brilliant for the sport of boxing. Everybody loves Eddie Hearn, pretty much apart from Ultra and a couple of other people. But Eddie Hearn's a very, very popular guy, right? And everybody fucking loves Eddie Hearn, etc., etc. Well, something happened today, right, which is going to show you the complete opposite, because this is absolutely funny. And this tells you how much of a hit Eddie Hearn's reputation has taken. Here we go. I've now got this up. Let me drag this onto my screen, and then we are ready to begin with the next segment, okay, which I should be on the screen now. Right, you will absolutely love this. Okay, where's Harley gone? He's disappeared? Is Harley still okay? I don't want to have to call 999 out, but is everything all right with Harley? Because he's disappeared. Where are you at, Harley? I want you to listen to this next segment and get your opinion on this, Harley. Right, this is absolutely brilliant, right? This is absolutely brilliant. Let's get this up a different way, actually. Hold on. Here we go. Let me get this up. Right. Eddie Hearn appeared today on cricket show TMS, yeah? Now, if you're like me, obviously I'm from the Caribbean. We're born and raised to love cricket, yeah? You're from the Caribbean, if you're of a certain age, then you're born to love cricket, innit? Love cricket, yeah? Everybody knows that you're on the islands, you're on the West Indies, yeah? You love a bit of cricket, yeah? You know, if you're from the West Indies or the subcontinent, you do tend to be a fan of cricket because we grew up watching it. You know what I mean? We grew up watching it. So I must say I know quite a lot about cricket, but when the Ashes are on, in particular, I will watch every single test match, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in England. I will stay up. Last Ashes in Australia, I stayed up all night. I was up every single night from 11 p.m. at night till 9 p.m. the next morning following the Ashes, right? So TMS is like one of the greatest cricket shows of all time, right? It's like a national institution. It's a bit like Question Time on BBC One. It's a national institution. It's something that sort of permeates the sport. It's something that even casual fans are aware of. It's big. It's like, you know, Desert Island Discs on Radio 1. It's like one of the great British radio shows of any kind ever, right? TMS. So Eddie Hearn then appears today. He appeared today at lunchtime and he turned up at the cricket. And he turned up on TMS, right? Now, he gave an interview. Now, I didn't listen to the interview, but I guess he was talking about all things cricket. I'm not sure he was there to answer questions about Conor Ben. Let's have a look at the reaction and the response to Eddie Hearn's interview with TMS, right? Now, bearing in mind, this is a BBC radio station that's talking about cricket. So there's nobody on the Frank Warren payroll here. Do you understand that now? We're understanding that here. There's nobody here is on the Frank Warren payroll. So I can't hear, oh, you're on the Frank Warren payroll. Nobody's on the Frank Warren payroll. It's a bunch of 40, 50, and 60-year-olds who have turned up here drinking Pims in the middle of the rain at the cricket, right? This is middle-class Britain at its finest, right? Let's have a look at some of these comments on Eddie Hearn, and then you tell me if it's just me that has a problem with this guy, and is it all about being on the Frank Warren payroll? So this is the number one comment on Eddie Hearn's interview, and we'll go through these comments. Frankly, this was a sickening interview. Hearn is an exploiter. driven purely by money, regardless of quality or lack of it. A man who knows the price and profit of everything and the value of nothing. There you go. So let me ask this guy, Andy Burge, yeah? Is Andy Burge on the Frank Warren payroll then? Because you don't like Eddie Hearn, or he thinks that Eddie Hearn says things that are of absolutely no substance whatsoever, and that he's completely full of shit. But when I say it, it's because I'm on the Frank Warren payroll, and it's because I need to be killed, and it's because I need to go and commit suicide and hang myself and not take my antidepressant medication, and it's because I need to get in a fight with you and spar you to prove that what I'm saying about Eddie Hearn is correct, right? But when these people say it, what's the excuse? Let's carry on. That's not the only comment. Shall we carry on? Again, these are BBC radio listeners, right, who are commenting to BBC TMS about their interview with Eddie Hearn. Let's carry on. I'd say his dad could be called legendary. Not sure about Eddie Hearn yet anyway. Let's have a look. Legendary. Here we go. Go here. Don't worry. It goes more. Turned off. Cannot stand this helmet. We've got another one from the Frank Warren payroll there. Turned off. Cannot stand this helmet. Let's just keep going. I think all these BBC listeners must be on the Frank Warren payroll, I assume, right? Because everybody of you don't like Eddie Hearn, must be on the Frank Warren payroll. Let's keep going through some more of these comments. In his own world, some validity in actually how to promote a sport, as he's an expert, but a little out of touch with the actual cricket world. He is droning on about narrative quite a bit. Let's have a look here. Let's go through. Keep going through these comments. I'm going to keep going through more. Oh, this is funny. Eddie Hearn turned up on a cricket show, and guess what? You couldn't even name half of the England cricket team, by the way. Oh, don't worry, the comments get even more scathing. The comments are way worse than this. I'll find you something. These are the nice comments. Eddie Hearn turned up on a cricket show and couldn't name half the English cricket team. Disagree with the majority of what Hearn is saying in regards to cricket, talking absolute nonsense. The guy can't name the current England squad. He's obviously not that really interested in cricket. Stick to boxing, Eddie. That's Eddie Hearn. Again, when Eddie Hearn is an absolute narcissist, you know, doesn't have the ability to turn around and look at himself and say, you know, really, should I really be going on TMS, given that I don't understand anything about cricket? But of course, Eddie Hearn will go on there because he thinks he's a worldwide superstar and he'll make a fool of himself. Look, here, it carries on and on and on. Look, most depressing lunchtime interview ever, right? Carry on. What an embarrassing interview. What Hearn knows about cricket can be written on the head of a pin and there'll be empty space remaining. There's more comments. Shall I carry on? Just this is BBC radio listeners on Eddie Hearn. What an embarrassing interview. What Hearn knows about cricket can be written on the head of a pin and there'd still be empty space remaining. Let's carry on. This guy, Richard Rosalind, with his two dogs up in the countryside, he definitely looks like a connoisseur of Queensberry cards here. Can you see this guy, Richard Rosalind? He's definitely a pro Frank Warren guy to me. A guy there, a middle-class man out in the countryside by the sea with two dogs and a camera. He definitely looks like the quintessential, demographic for a Queensberry card. No doubt he's got tickets to Dennis McCann versus Iron Beluti, in a couple of weeks' time down at the O2. He says a really terrible interview, well below the usual standard. Keep going in here. Let's go on. This gives more. Tuned in 2 minutes too early. Comparing the IPL to a county match. Do me a favor. Tit. Awful interview. Horrible man. Turned off. Thought it was just me. Hideous bloke. Lowest common denominator is his solution. Test match cricket is beyond his comprehension. Who next? Don King, another paragon of fair play and integrity. There you go. Just absolutely weird. There's more comments. We'll keep going through them. Absolutely more comments on this. Look. Quote unquote legendary, but he's never put on a legendary fight or built up a fighter to legendary status. Promotes himself more than his fighters. Uses the clickbait technique of talking down other promoters to promote himself. Likewise, talks down other fighters to promote his other fighters. And these comments just keep coming. So my question to people is, are these people who listen to cricket on BBC Radio, are these all paid off by Frank Warren? What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? All these people on the Frank Warren payroll. Look, the comments just keep coming. Look, what a disturbing interview from a man that's charging DAZN customers £47 to watch two washed heavyweights with 0 belts on the line. Stay away from sports that you know nothing about. Oh my God, look at this. What a disturbing interview from a man that's charging new DAZN customers £47 to watch two washed heavyweights with 0 belts on the line. Stay away from sports that you know nothing about, and look at the viewing figures for Sky on cricket. It's pretty good. Look at this comment here. Guy does the bidding of Saudis and is owned by English drug dealers based in Spain. Don't lower cricket to this level. Wow. Gee, does it get any more scathing than that comment? For me, this is the most scathing comment of them all about Eddie Hearn. Again, these are BBC radio listeners that are saying this. The guy does the bidding of Saudis and is owned by English drug dealers based in Spain. Don't lower cricket to this level. I'm not going to read this next comment for obvious reasons. Why does he do interviews on everything? His ego is massive. Hate the man with a passion. Look at it. Oh, Simon, yeah. Okay, he's one of our guys. So you get the picture, yeah? So Eddie Hearn, yeah, his interview on BBC TMS, as you can see there, absolutely went down like a lead balloon. So my question, all right, to these individuals, and you can see a little highlights of the comments here on the screen, is it just me? Is it just me? Or do these people have a point as well? Because these are people who don't even watch boxing, and they find Eddie Hearn absolutely nauseating. So I'm just asking you, like, hand on heart, do these people also have an agenda about Eddie Hearn? Or maybe, just maybe, Eddie Hearn might be doing something wrong. Right, shall we quickly finish off by going through some undercards? Yes or no, before we go? You guys want to do that? You guys want to finish off by going through some undercards? Let's finish off by going through some undercards. Here we go. You ready? Here we are, the home of British boxing, the #1 promoters in the world. Right? Let's go through some undercards. Let's see what the #1 promotion in world boxing is serving up for us. Okay, so this is what's up and coming in boxing. August the 12th, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, the O2 London Arena. Apparently, the hype for this is absolutely tremendous, right? Apparently, there's all kinds of tickets being sold. But was it sold out? Highest pre-sale ever in the history of the O2 Arena. Oh, the undercard must be interesting. Let's see what we've got going on. We've got Filip Hrgović versus Dempsey McKean. I've seen bits and bobs of Dempsey McKean. Does anybody give Dempsey McKean a cat and hell's chance of surviving with Filip Hrgović? Let me know. I've got Filip Hrgović by a very, very quick and early KO there. I've seen bits and bobs of Dempsey McKean fights. I've seen absolutely nothing from Dempsey McKean to make me believe that he can survive a 12-round fight with Filip Hrgović. But if I'm wrong about that, that's fine. I'll take that back. But based on what I've seen of Dempsey McKean, who was a sparring partner for Anthony Joshua in his rematch of Alexander Usyk, I ain't seeing it. McKean did beat Johnny Wright. Nobody's ever beaten Johnny Rice fair and square. Johnny Rice must have spent too much time down their strip club. I love Johnny Rice. I've got that man on Twitter. I love Johnny Rice. So you got Filip Hrgović and Dempsey McKean. Then here you can see here we've got Johnny Fisher versus Harry Armstrong for the Southern Area Heavyweight title. So as you can see here, and again, I'm not that bothered about undercards. It's the Matchroom FC crew, isn't it, who pride themselves on undercards, don't they? Am I right or am I wrong? Isn't it the Matchroom FC crew who sort of pride themselves on the strength of their undercards? They're always criticizing everybody else's undercards and such and such. So, let's see. Johnny Fisher is 2 back from the main event. So you've got the main event, yeah. You've got Hrgović and McKean, which I think is a one-sided fight. And then you've got Johnny Fisher for a Southern Area. Johnny Fisher for a Southern Area. Bearing in mind, this is on DAZN pay-per-view. Do you understand? This is on DAZN pay-per-view. You're going to pay for DAZN pay-per-view And near the top of the bill, you've got Johnny Fisher in a southern area against Harry Armstrong. Bro, if you want to go watch a southern area title fight, you can go down to Swindon right now. Go down to the Oasis Leisure Centre in Swindon, yeah? And go watch a Nielsen boxing show event for a lot cheaper than this DAZN pay-per-view shit. Do you know that? If you want to go and watch southern area, and there's nothing wrong with southern area level boxing. Some of the guys at southern area are very good fighters. But if you want to go and watch southern area boxing, do yourself a favour. Go down to Nielsen Boxing, go down to the Oasis Leisure Centre in Swindon and go and watch it down there and go and get a front row seat. Because for less than the price of a fucking DAZN pay-per-view, you can go and watch real southern area level boxing in person, yeah? For less than the price you pay to watch it on fucking DAZN pay-per-view. Campbell Hatton is fighting Tom Ansell. 110, lost 4. With 2 KOs. What do I expect from this? Do I need to be tuning in for this, guys? What do you think? Do I need to be tuning in to watch Campbell Hatton take on a 10-4 opponent with 2 KOs? Is that what I'm paying DAZN pay-per-view for? Maisie Rose Courtney versus to be confirmed. This card takes place in best part of 2 weeks. So Maisie Rose Courtney still does not have a fucking opponent. George Lidard versus TBC. This fight takes place in just close to 2 weeks' time. George Lidard still doesn't know who his opponent is. So the DAZN pay-per-view brings to you George Lidard versus TBC, Maisie Rose Courtney versus TBC, Campbell Hatton versus Tom Ansell, Johnny Fisher versus Harry Armstrong for a Southern Area heavyweight title, Philip Hergovich versus Dempsey McKean, and then Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua. It's been alleged that if you pay for DAZN on pay-per-view first time, you're going to be paying £47 for this, all inclusive, right? I guess because you've got to pay for the pay-per-view and then pay for a month of DAZN on top. I don't know. But the price that's been banded around for this is £47 for this shit. Look, we talked about IFL TV and the end is coming for them. Where are we going with DAZN in the UK, eh? What do you guys think? Where are we going with DAZN in the UK? Does this strike you as... Excuse me, I'm adjusting my mic. Does this strike you as game changed? Does this strike you as game changed? I mean, can you remember the Anthony Joshua cards of the past? Look, so do you remember this card? Let me see if I can get this up. Do you remember that legendary Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua fought for a British title, right? And they had fucking... Is that the one where they had Kevin Mitchell? Or Kelbrook? And they had everybody on that card. Do you remember that Matchums really actually did stack the card? Here we go. Oh, I'm not sure here. There we go. I can't remember. I'm trying to find it. I'm not sure of this one. Bad Intentions. Let me just see quickly here. Martin J. Ward, Luke Camp. Look, just look. But look at the difference between these cards. I mean, even this isn't the card I was thinking of, right? But let's look at the difference between this. This was the original card for Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White. Yeah, this was a couple of years ago, right? Anthony Joshua and Dillian White will clash for the British and Commonwealth heavyweight titles, right? Remember this? This was the undercard. Tate Cheeseman versus Ian Henry, Jake Ball versus Richard Horton, Martin J. Ward versus Miguel Gonzalez, Josh Warrington versus George Sanchez, Gianluca Branco versus Paulie Malignaggi, Luke Campbell versus Ivan Mendy, Kevin Mitchell versus Ismael Barroso. I don't think that fight happened. Tony Bailey versus Matthias Mastinek, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Spike O'Sullivan. Right? That's what was coming up on Sky about fucking, 10 years ago? Yeah? That's what was being delivered on Sky 10 years. Was this pay-per-view? Joshua and White. I think that was a pay-per-view card. Joshua and White was pay-per-view. This is what you got on Sky Sports box office, yeah? On Sky pay-per-view about 6-7 years ago, right? Game changed 6-7 years later. You get Philip Hergovich versus Dempsey McKean. You get Johnny Fisher versus Harry Armstrong for a fucking Southern Area. You get Campbell Hatton versus Tom Ansell, Maisie Rose Courtney, and George Lidard. Now, can you see that? Which one's game changed? The card from 7 years ago or the card that you're going to be getting in 2 weeks' time? I don't know how anybody can see this card here for Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White 2 and compare it to Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White 1, both pay-per-view fights, and say that DAZN have changed the game in any way, shape, or form. Am I on the fact we're on payroll for saying that? Or is that just basic common sense when you look at these two undercards? Isn't it? Just need to look at these two undercards to see the difference between the two, right? And you can see that the Sky card is of considerably higher quality. And by the way, when Anthony Joshua and Dillian White fought, they were both undefeated, weren't they? Both undefeated. Both undefeated. Let's have a look at Anthony Joshua and Dillian White today. Anthony Joshua has taken 3 losses and been pretty much thoroughly outclassed and beaten up in 2 of them. Dillian White's been put on highlight reels, Lord knows how many times now. How many times has Dillian White's head been lifted off his shoulders and he's been on highlight reels? Dillian White's been on highlight reel knockouts now for the best part of a couple of years. So they're both past it, aren't they? Not past it. They're both past their best, aren't they? Would you agree with that? Anthony Joshua and Dillian White are probably both past their best at this stage of their career. Still dangerous, but probably both past their best. And look at the difference between the quality of this card and the quality of the same card and the quality of the same of the card that delivered on Sky for the same fight a couple of years ago. And you can clearly see in it that DAZN haven't changed the game at all. Question marks have to be asked about DAZN, you know. I'm being serious. Like, you got to feel like if they can't get Premier League football or Champions League football, or if they can't get any major rights in the UK in the next couple of years, question marks probably have to start being asked about the future of DAZN, you know. Do you think that's a fair comment or not a fair comment? Let me know. Or am I on a frat war and payoff for asking that? Because, you know, things ain't looking good. You know, just from the outside looking in on DAZN right now, things do not look good at all for that channel. The content at the minute is just is absolutely atrocious. In fact, let's quickly see this quickly. Let's just see what their content is, just to make sure that I haven't done them up the bottom. Look at this. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Jesus Christ. Live on DAZN pay-per-view. 6th of August from 1 a.m. Look at this shit. Your plan includes 50 fights a year, crossover boxing. Oh, God. Look at that. That's that YouTuber boxing. Look, they call it crossover boxing. That's a fancy way to say YouTuber boxing. So your plan includes 50 plus fights a year, YouTube boxing, MMA. What MMA is that? Oh, yeah, Bellator. Women's football, no comment, and more. Jesus fucking Christ. Then you've got this, Joshua versus White, load of rubbish. What else have you got? NFL Game Pass. What? Hold on. Where's the actual boxing? I want to see what the schedule is. What's this? Where's their schedule, man? Can somebody tell me how I get to their schedule? Oh, hold on. Here we go. Multi-award winning schedule. Where's the schedule? But guys, am I being really stupid? Or would you expect to see a chronological schedule of this stuff? Like, where's the schedule? Like, I want to see. You've said you've got 50 fights coming up, so I want to see the next couple months of what if I sign up to DAZN. I can't see it anywhere. Do you guys not find that a bit odd? Yes or no? Or am I being stupid with the internet? Listen, I'm not a web designer, but I'm pretty sure, you know, if you're into a good UX or a good user experience and you want people to sign up, you know, be interesting to tell people, you know, what are you signing up for? You know, obviously Nate Paul, Jake Diaz, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White. What else am I signing for? What else do I get? But yeah, exactly, Sean. We have an award-winning schedule. You just can't see it. Like, for some reason, I get the sign up button call to action. I get the sign in call to action, but I'm not seeing any links here to what your actual schedule is, which I think is absolutely bizarre. Do you guys not think that's weird? Let me type that in. What the fuck is that about? I'd expect to see a full list and a full schedule. It's on another page. Shit. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Right. Find the schedule after having to Google it. Make of that what you will. The NFL Network channel, Red Bull TV. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Do I get... So how does this work? I get the NFL Network channel on DAZN. All sports. Boxing. Let's have a look at boxing. What boxing have you got for me? Look, to be fair, it's only been a week. Let's go to the next week. So look, we've got DAZN schedule. What's this? July through August, yeah? And I've filtered it on boxing. Look, let's be fair. Boxing, football. Let's tick football. Let's tick MMA. Let's tick chess. Hey, here we go. Octagon 45. What the fuck is this? Octagon. It sounds like a fucking vegetable, this shit. It's like okra. Octagon. Octagon. That started today at 5:30 p.m. Fuck, it's already finished. Let's keep going, yeah? What else have we got? Nothing. Oh, look at the schedule. You can only go 4th until Friday, the 11th of August. So you can only go 2 weeks. Octagon. That's it. Is that all I got? What I got here, look. Boxing archive. Boxing up. Nah, there can't be right. I must have done this wrong. They can't have nothing on. Or maybe you watch that on demand. That's not scheduled. The boxing archive will be on demand, so that don't count. Hold on, let me just tick this shit. Come on, it's not fair. Let's just see what's on. Sailing, esports, wrestling, extreme sports. Well, actually, what was I doing? All sports. What am I doing? Sorry. Let's see what they got going on. So what's this? The NFL Network channel. Oh, you can watch it on DAZN. Yeah, but that's not an actual scheduled program. Red Bull TV. I'm trying to find out what is the actual DAZN scheduled programming. Octagon. And then what? Oh, I get it. Sorry. I'm dumb. I get it now. I don't know how to use a website. Here we go. Saturday. We've got WRS. What the fuck is this? Watch live tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. And then on Red Bull TV, you've got, what's this? Motorbike cycling. Fuck is this? Crankworks Whistler Canada. Speed and style. What's this shit? And then you've got more of this Octagon shit. Okay. Right. What you got for me on Sunday, DAZN? On Sunday, you've got DMEC Racing in Latvia. Guys, we've still got 80 people listening. I don't know why, but is anybody interested in DMEC Racing from Latvia? If you are, press 1. Crankworks Whistler from Canada's back. Oh, there are no events scheduled for Monday. No events scheduled for Tuesday. What's on Wednesday? We've got a friendly. We've got Napoli versus Girona. Fair play. Girona. That is actually the Girona song. I play Pro Evolution Soccer, you see, so I know the Girona song off by heart. You've got the DAZN MMA show with Ariel Helwani. What we got the next day on Thursday? You've got the DAZN boxing show, the live press conference for Nate Paul and Jake Diaz. We've got Red Bull cliff diving on the next day after that. We've got the PFL. We've got NFL Game Pass. We've got, what the fuck is PTO Tour? So we can see this. What's the PTO? What's this? Does anybody know what this is? The PTO Tour. Anyway, I don't know. Is it tennis? I've never heard of this shit before. Well, I'm done. I'll leave it out. But anyway, you can see the point. No, I was genuinely interested to see what DAZN have actually got in the schedule. But yeah, there you go. If anybody's interested in signing up, that's what you're getting. So yeah, that's where we are at. Right, let's finish up with a bit of news and we are done. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence have already weighed in. They'll be doing the official weigh-in tonight, won't they? But they've already weighed in. They both made weight, so we are getting the fight tomorrow. There will be a ceremonial weigh-in tonight for those of you who like to watch fighters look into the eyes of their opponent. So you'll see that tonight. Guys, give me a prediction. Who are you going for? Crawford or Spence? We're planning to do a special. I'm hoping Tony will be on this and Chevron will be on this for to do an instant reaction to the fight. I'm going to plan to pay for it on pay-per-view. I hope all of you in the UK will pay for it on pay-per-view because it's important to support real fights. These are the results of the Crawford versus Spence weigh-in. Errol Spence weighed in 147 pounds on the dot, and Terence Crawford weighed in at 148.6 pounds, undisputed welterweight title. This is a very, very rare occurrence in the sport of boxing, where you get two of the best fighters in the sport in their prime, going at it for all the belts on the line. Savor it while you can. Guys, give me your predictions for Spence and for Crawford tomorrow. We'll quickly go through them. Devin Haney is going to challenge Regis Prograis and move up a weight instead of fighting Shaka Stevenson. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to be one of the people that call fighters duckers and cowards, but I would imagine that Devin Haney will be getting called a ducker and a coward very shortly. It looks like he's opted to not fight Shaka Stevenson, and that he's going to be going up a weight and fighting Regis Prograis. So that'll be coming to a DAZN card near you. Me personally, not a fight I'm particularly interested in watching. I'd be a lot more interested in watching Haney and Shaka Stevenson than watching that. Let's go for your predictions. Sean Medieval is one of the very, very few people who's picking Errol Spence. You're picking Errol Spence to stop Terence Crawford in 8 rounds. Crazy D3 is going for Crawford in round 10. North London saying draw, more money in a rematch. Vanguard's a manhood saying Crawford, 8th round KO. Golden Mike is saying 8th round KO. Abdul is saying Hart says Spence, mine says Crawford. Yeah, I'm the same as you, Abdul. I would love to see Errol Spence win that fight, to be honest. I'm really hoping. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be watching that fight, hoping Errol Spence wins the fight. But I don't think you can look past Crawford. But like I said before, it's one of them weird ones because I think Terence Crawford is an incredible athlete. But I do think he makes mistakes in the ring, you know. I do think he makes mistakes in the boxing ring that people don't pick. It's a bit like the way people eulogize about Crawford is a bit similar to the way that people eulogize about Alexander Usyk. You know, where they tell you that nobody can hit Usyk and Usyk's unhittable. But if you actually watch Usyk's fights, he gets hit quite a lot in his fights. Do you understand what I'm saying about that? And it's quite a similar situation with Terence Crawford, where people sort of eulogize him and make him out to be some kind of unhittable master. And actually, you know, like I said before, Kell Brook outboxing him until he got fucking... listen, it was a great shot from Crawford, but, you know, I thought Kell Brook won 2 of the first 3 rounds against him. I thought Sean Porter did very... And I don't think Sean Porter was... I don't think the Sean Porter that got in the ring with Crawford was the same Sean Porter that Errol Spence beat. I don't know how you feel about that, but I watched both of those fights, and I just don't think so. I think the Sean Porter that got in the ring with Errol Spence was peak Sean Porter. I think the Sean Porter that got in the ring with Terence Crawford was a Sean Porter coming to the end of his career. And I think if you listen to Kenny Porter's comments after the fight and then Sean Porter retiring, I think that kind of tells you all you need to know. I don't think that was the real Sean Porter in that fight. And I think Sean Porter ran some rounds in that fight. So Spence is a weird one. Crawford's a weird one because, like I said, people eulogize him in the same way that they eulogize about Usyk. Like he's this unhittable guy. You know, nobody has a key. I thought Jose Benavidez Jr., I've always said this, you know, put on a tremendous performance against Terence Crawford before being stopped. I think you could cause Terence Crawford quite a few problems in their fights. But we'll have to wait and see. Crawford, like you said, Denchi, you're right. When he turns it up, I do agree that Terence Crawford is arguably the best finisher in boxing. I think he's a very spiteful finisher. And the bottom line of it is, for me, you know, if you look at how Ugas hurt Spence and didn't capitalize on it, did he? Ugas had Spence absolutely rocked in that fight, and Ugas didn't capitalize on it. You know, Terence Crawford is just a completely different kettle of fish. No disrespect to Jordan as Ugas, but he is a certified killer in that ring. He could just be he might just be the best finisher in boxing. Like when he gets a man hurt, he is so vicious and so spiteful. Do you know what I mean? He is so vicious and so spiteful. There's just no way you can see him letting Errol Spence off the hook, you know, and you do imagine that Errol Spence is going to get caught. But then again, I'm not sure we've ever seen. The one thing about Spence in this fight is I do think that this is going to be the fight where we see Errol Spence let it all out, because he's not going to fight at 147 anymore. This is his last ever weight cut at 147. If there's a rematch, the rematch will most likely take place at 154. So I think this is going to be the last time we ever see Errol Spence at 147. And I'm expecting us to see the best Errol Spence ever in that ring tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I'm expecting to see the best Errol Spence ever in that ring on Saturday night. I think, you know, like I said, last fight at 147, you know, I think all bets are off for this fight. I think he can balls to the wall, go to the limit. He's not got to think about making 147 in the future or anything like that, or blah, blah, blah. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting him to come in very, very big. I'm expecting him to come in very, very big. And I just think he does certain things that, you know, but again, you know, with Spence, he gets caught a lot coming in, doesn't he? Again, Kell Brook caught Errol Spence, and I thought Kell Brook again was outboxing Errol Spence for a lot of that fight until, you know, Spence began to break him down. But Spence, you know, we've been talking about Errol Spence being caught with straight shots coming in since the beginning of his career. We've been talking about Errol Spence getting caught, particularly with the lead left hand from southpaws, with the lead right hand from the orthodox stance. We've been talking about Errol Spence getting caught with that shot and walking himself into straight right hand leads for a very, very long time in boxing. Very, very long time. I mean, since Errol Spence was a prospect, we've been talking about, you know, his defense against the orthodox straight right hand and things like that, and how he gets caught a lot coming on the way in, and how he tends to walk in a lot with his head up. He doesn't feint a lot coming in. He tends to walk himself into the pocket, but he tends to get, you know, hit and get picked off a little bit on the way in. And I just think, look, you've got to imagine, that unfortunately, I don't, you've got to imagine that at some point, maybe Crawford's going to pick him off because it's only going to take Crawford one shot. You've got to feel that Crawford might pick him up on the way in. Can Spence close the distance? But then again, with Errol Spence, it's very, very interesting because Spence is very, very good at picking off the jab. Tony, if you want to come on, I know I'm always trying to get you on, but I'm just letting you know, Tony, if you want to come on and do an Errol Spence and Terence Crawford preview, you're welcome to come on and do it right now. And I'll change the title of the stream and you can come on and give your views before the fight. You're welcome to do it because you know more about it than me. I was supposed to do a whole day of film study, and then this Conor Ben news broke, and all of a sudden now I've had to do that instead. But let me know if you're interested or not. Shauna Medieval says, yeah, I'm worried about the crash. He's talking about Errol Spence's crash. Not that it's the only reason he'd lose. Do you know what? Errol Spence does have very, very good lead hand control, and he has a very, very good habit in fights of being able to stop the opponent's jab. And he's okay. I've been watching Errol Spence since he was a prospect, and I've always been very, very interested in Errol Spence's ability to take away the jab from fighters. It's very, very hard for fighters that I've seen in fights to get that jab going against Spence. Maybe you tell me if I'm wrong about fights, but I'm talking mainly about, certainly in the fight against Kell Brook had one of the best jabs in boxing. Kell Brook had a tremendous jab. And Errol Spence is very, very good with that lead hand control, placing that lead hand over the jab hand and then walking himself into distance. He's very, very good at parrying the shot down. He's very, very good at parrying the lead hand down, parrying the lead hand away, placing his lead hand on top of the lead hand. He's very, very good, Errol Spence, at stopping the jab, which is how he's able to walk in so many of these fights and get to the body. That's how he's able to walk in, cut off the ring and close the ring. Fighters, a lot of top fighters who are good jabbers, get in the ring with Errol Spence and find out they can't land the jab. They can't land the jab. And he's able to get into close range very, very quickly. Now, we'll see what happens with Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is a whole different kettle of fish. But if Errol Spence is able to do what he's done in other fights and find a way to take away Terence Crawford's jab, obviously with Crawford, he can punch out of either stance, but if Spence can find a way to shut down the jab, bit of lead hand control, tap the jab down, tap. Who did that recently in a fight, in a big fight we watched? I'm trying to watch it. Somebody did that in a big fight. Guys, what was the last big fight we covered? Let me check it on the channel. Somebody did an excellent job of stopping the other guy's jab by tapping away his jab hand. I can't remember what fight it was. I don't know if it was a British fight or an American fight. I can't remember what it was. But it's a real thing, Lead hand control is very much a real thing. Abdul says, my concern with Spence is wear and tear. Absolutely. Tony says, I'm starting to think that Conor Ben's egg failure is like UFOs and governments. It only comes back out every time Eddie is trying to distract people from important fights that he's not a part of. The timing, I have to say, of this Conor Ben. Again, Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben have released that to the media. UKAD didn't choose to release that. Eddie Hearn and Conor Ben did. And some people would say it's no coincidence that news was released on the weekend of Crawford and Spence. Some people would say it's a good day to bury bad news, although it was good news. Errol Spence Jr., that face looks remarkably similar. I'm thinking of somebody else. That face looks really similar to somebody. Do you have Errol Spence Jr., do you have a YouTube channel by any chance? Let me know if you do, because you look remarkably similar to somebody who once had a YouTube channel, who had a YouTube channel. That face rings a bell. Let me know, Errol Spence Jr. Let me know. Or if I'm just talking at my asshole. Spence Jr., let me get this up. Let me get some Spence Jr. graphics up in a minute. Spence Jr. is a different animal, and a Washbrook was easily taking rounds off Crawford. Spence wins by unanimous decision. Listen, let me just get this up. I'd love to see Spence win. I have to be honest with you. Tony, Tony's picking Spence. Tony, if you can't come on, can you just tell me in the chat? Tony, what's your rationale for picking Spence, please? Just let me know, Tony. Tony in the chat. What's your reasoning for Spence over Crawford, Tony? I'd like to know what your reasoning is. Yeah, you okay. We'll drop the link. Let me hear what Tony got to say. Let me change the title of the stream quickly. Hold on. In fact, do you know what, Tony? Tony, let me do this. Guys. Listen. Get a cup of tea. What I'm going to do is this, yeah? Because this does... Tony, you can speak for 2 minutes. You ain't got to do a whole show. But let's just do this on a separate live, yeah? I'm going to drop this live. I'm going to come... There, that's it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. I recognise that face, innit? Recognise that face from somewhere, innit? Right. Let's do this, guys. Let's do a preview on it, all right? I'll do it with Tony because Tony knows what he's talking about. Tony, can you give me a yes for that? I'm going to drop it in 2 minutes. So I'm going to restart the stream, drop it in 2 minutes, and then bring you in. You have your say, and then we'll call it a day. Is that all right, Tony? Give me a quick yes, Tony, and I'll shut this stream down and start up a new one. Because I don't want to do like 5 different stories in the same stream. And we'll actually attract people to this if we'll give it a stream. So, Tony, give me the yes, and we'll go. Let me read through these final comments while we're getting a yes from Tony. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Crawford's the man on form. Crawford's pivots will give Spence issues. Right, bring it down. Okay, cool. All right, guys, come back in 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes, and then we'll come back up, and Tony's going to do the preview for us. All right? Peace.